Hello and welcome. I am Ashysaurus, aka Ashy, and today we are talking about the Veilguard and the information they had on their Discord Q&A. Before we jump into it, if this is the type of content you like and you would like to see more of, please like and subscribe. Now let's jump into it. These are some jumbled notes. I just wrote them down while I was listening to them, so we're just gonna jump into wherever and just get into it. First one I have in my notes is that crafting is back in Dragon Age the Veilguard. But it's not like Dragon Age Inquisition, apparently. They said that also there will be a character that will be in there that will help you, so people are speculating that it's Sandal from like Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2. I hope so. I actually like the character. I think he was hilarious. They said that you could kiss a skeleton. I have no idea if this is true or them just playing around, but I just wanted to add it in there. Dragon Age the Veilguard is not an open world game, and it's supposed to be handcrafted. Companions have their own unique specialization. Neve is the only ice mage. We don't know for sure if no one else can learn ice magic. It just seems like they said that Neve is the only ice mage. So maybe if you're a mage, you can learn ice magic, like the elemental magic. But I don't know if other people who are mages, like the necromancer and Bellara, she's a mage too apparently, but she uses a bow. So I don't know if any of the other ones can learn ice magic, but apparently she is. Which, I have one thing I will like to say about this. Why did they make another dark-skinned mage a ice mage? We had that in Dragon Age Inquisition. Why are we doing this again? I just find it a bit strange to do. The game can be tactical, but it's best if the difficulty is up. I can understand that they're adding it to be more tactical if you have a higher difficulty, because they do that in most games. I just hope they're not damage sponges. And I know that Pride Demons had armor system before in Inquisition, but I just hope that it's not just tanky, like overly tanky like they were in Inquisition, where they just took a while to beat. I know later in the game they're easier, but it was just a little annoying that everything was kind of too tanky in that game. Neve can slow down time. Apparently Neve can slow down time. I don't know exactly if everyone can. It made it seem like that other mages can learn slow down, but I'm not sure because of the way that they said it. But if they can, that's actually really interesting. They say that it will slow down time, but you won't be slowed down, so you can fight others. I don't know if other people can, but that sounds interesting. You will be reminded for combos. I don't exactly know how to explain that, but you can be reminded that, oh, if you do this and that, you can do a combo with one of your companions. So that's interesting. They'll probably do more detail into that if they do like a gameplay. They talk about gameplay again, but that sounds interesting. I want to see what that is. Photo mode may or may not be in the game. It seemed like they confirmed it in one of the articles that I was talking about, but it seems like it may not actually be in the game. It's really sad because it made it seem like those images that they took were in a photo mode, but it may not be in photo mode. You can only have 3 skills at a time. You can also have an ultimate move and items that are like abilities. That sounds very interesting, but I do think that's a little lackluster compared to Inquisition, but we'll have to see how it plays, and then I'll give my more of opinions, but I do think that's a little small, and I know in the Discord chat everyone was kind of like, ooh, 3 only? I know that you get also some with your companions, but still, that's a little too little for me. I think even in Mass Effect, you got more skills, so that's a little disappointing. No Cone of Cold will be in there. Apparently, they have their new versions of Cone of Cold, so I'm guessing it's gonna be like stuff like Thundaga and stuff like that, and have their own new version. So it's gonna be like Thundaga slash like Thundera or something like that. I guess that's gonna be their version. They're gonna have a higher version of that, so we'll see. It's been 11 to 10 years since Dragon Age Trespasser. I can't remember exactly the years it's been since Trespasser to Dragon Age Inquisition. I think it was like a year or so. If it's not, I'll pop it up on the screen. But it's been about 11 years since Inquisition, which is wild because Trespasser it takes place a year or two after Inquisition. So it's been a while since then, since Solus has been gone. The devs noted that Solus is still bald, especially if you watch the trailer. But apparently he had hair, and if they ever showed a younger version of him, he would have had hair. I wonder if that means that they're gonna show like a flashback or something in the game. Companion's clothes can be changed, meaning armor and stuff like that. But it says that it doesn't have that big of a change, so maybe it's... They said the colors and stuff like that stays the same, but it didn't seem like they meant a big change like in Dragon Age Origins, and so I wonder if that's... I think even in Inquisition you can change your character's clothes decently well, that they can wear anything basically. So I wonder how much did they change for this game. The conversation wheel is more like Inquisition and Andromeda. and you have an emotional wheel. I wonder if that means that they're gonna give you more emotions during like very serious moments, being like I'm sad and stuff like that. Because I know the ones in Inquisition were not good. They were pretty bad in my opinion, and I never really did any of them like seriously. I just kind of was like, oh, that's sad. I never really did anything because the emotions were really. I don't know who did the direction for some of the choices when you were doing the emotional ones, but they didn't sound very emotional. Apparently, decisions in the game for Rook are going to be huge. I don't know about that. I don't know how to say about that because like this, I love Dragon Age, and even though I love that game, none of the games after Origins had very big choices. So unless I see like really big choices, I don't really care. Because like the one with Hawk the most, like leaving Hawk in the pet thing, I didn't care. Like in the ending, I always chose to leave Shroud in there, and I didn't care because he was just another Riordan character. He literally was played by the same guy, so I was like, just leave him there. I don't even know why we have this choice. I don't even know why we're in the Fade. Like it was just weird. So big choices in Inquisition were that big of a deal, and Dragon Age 2 just basically had no choices that were very big in my opinion. So I'll see when it happens. I doubt any game like that, even Mass Effect, didn't really have that big of choices in the game. So I think that's just due to the voice acting, having voice actors, and having to have continuation games. That's why it has those issues. The story is as visible as possible. They're trying to make it so you don't only get stuff in the codex like in Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm guessing like where you did a bunch of stuff, but then you had to read all of it and stuff like that. Apparently, they're trying to make it that it's going to be visible. Everything you basically do is going to be shown. At least that's how they made it seem with their wording in the Discord. So I'm hoping that means that even small things that you do, you get to see it, because they did that in Dragon Age Origins. So most of the stuff you did, it was visibly there, and if it had consequences, it didn't show until the ending, which makes a lot of sense because most games do that. But I hope that's what they're gonna do. Bringing back what we said in the last few videos was that the Inquisitor will be a part of the story and be there. So yeah, other than creating the character, they will be there and they'll be a part of the main plot. So let's see how that goes. There is probably no blood magic in the game. It seems like they said that Rook would try to not use blood magic, so this is definitely not a character like Hawk. So if you're a mage, you're not going to be doing blood magic, and most of the characters are probably not going to be doing blood magic because that just doesn't seem like they're going to do that thing. Only Morgan was one, and Meryl were blood mages, so I don't think they're going to be adding blood magic in Dragon Age for a while. But battle mages has been confirmed, so you can be a battle mage, and I think they said that this is going to be more close-up magic, so interesting. I probably will use that if I play as a mage in this game. The lighthouse can change, but might not be much. They made it seem like that there's going to be stuff that happens at the lighthouse, but it's not going to be drastic changes. I feel like it's just going to be kind of like with Inquisition, where you do some things here and there through the story, and the place stops looking like it's rubble and stuff like that around it. It starts looking cleaner and nicer and stuff like that. I feel like that's what's going to happen. I don't know for sure. There is no dog companion, but you can pet the griffin and hug the griffin, apparently. They said that you can, so that's interesting. That this is probably going to just be the family pet, basically. Everyone, come and pet the griffin, because you've never seen one before. We will get to see the character creator before launch, apparently. Like other people I've seen, I hope that they do a demo for it. Even though if they can do a demo for the combat, I would probably prefer that more than just the character creator. But it would be interesting to have the character creator in there instead, so that you can make your character and import it into the game. So you don't have to spend like 6 hours doing that, because you already have a pretty character in there. But if they wanted to do a demo for the gameplay, I think that would help a lot of people who want to buy the game, buy it before launch. Bark Spawn is fine. Apparently they answered a question about Bark Spawn from Dragon Age Origins, and he's fine somewhere. Wherever he may be, he's fine. We got no confirmations on collector's editions, information about accessibility choices and stuff like that in settings, because they said they wanted to do that later towards launch. They said no music confirmation or specs for the PC version, so we're gonna have to wait a little bit closer to that. And since it's fall, we're probably gonna have to wait till like maybe September, October kind of time. Like, I feel like it's gonna come out in November. That's just such a Bioware thing to do. The main focus of the story is regret. Apparently everyone has regret in this game, so let's see how that plays out. I feel like everyone's gonna regret something. I want to believe that Lucanus's regret is basically faking his death, so everyone thought he was dead and his cousin or something like that. I really hope that his storyline, like mission, is that you get to meet his cousin that was in the book. That would be very interesting. I want to see that. I wonder if the story of regret also has something to do with Solus, because he's probably gonna regret breaking open the veil and like betraying the Inquisitor or something like that. They're probably gonna do that so he looks like a good guy, kind of. I don't feel like they're ever gonna make him a bad guy. Just from the trailer alone, it made it seem like I'm crying and this has to happen, and then he regrets it when he turns around and sees the monsters coming out of there, and he's like, no, what have I done? I feel like they're gonna end up having it that you talk to him, he's just like, I regret it, okay? I absolutely regret it. We got teased that the companions may die or even leave and not help you fight the evil in Thetis. We don't know for sure, but they made it seem like they were teasing it and kind of being like, don't say too much kind of thing. So they might even die or leave, who knows. They didn't really do that well in Dragon Age Inquisition. You can tell a few people to leave, but most of them they couldn't leave, so who knows. Harding was one of the first companions that they wanted to bring into Dragon Age 4, apparently. Apparently they said that the story, they had a writer that really wanted to finish up her story, and she knew all about Solus and all the stuff that he did, so they wanted to add her back in there, which makes a lot of sense. I still wonder why she wasn't a companion in like Dragon Age Inquisition, because she was actually decently there, like, you know, doing all that stuff. It would have been interesting, but for some reason they chose not to, and now she's a companion in this, so that's interesting. Quests are supposed to feel important and handcrafted. So they said that there's not going to be a bunch of fetch quests and things like that. That's basically confirmed. They said that they're not going to have any shards or anything to collect and stuff like that, which is good. I know there are some people who like them, but I hated them. They made me nauseous. I cannot play games to go using weird, wacky cameras and trying to find things. I get nauseous from being in the same area for too long. I cannot do that, okay? And I'm glad that more people are trying to make games less like looky and stuff like that, finding items, because I get nausea and I hate feeling like I have to do everything in a game, because that's one of the things I do, and then I cannot do it because I have to find shards or something, and it makes me nauseous. I hate it, and I'm so glad that they're not putting it in there, because I don't want to have to feel like I have to do it, and then I get terrible nausea and have to lay down for like three hours and then be like, I'm back, I can do it. The characters can revive you if you get KO'd after upgrading their skill set to do it. But if you get KO'd, you have to reload the game if you don't have that kind of skill set for your companions. Which is a bit weird that they did instead. Like, they didn't just give you a crystal to revive yourself or something like that, or give your companions a way to just revive you and you have like 3 tries or something like that in a battle or something like that. I feel like they could have done that, and then it made it seem like, oh, it's still like Dragon Age, that if you get KO'd, your characters still care enough to try to help you, that you didn't have to update them to do it. And we don't know how long you have to update them and stuff like that to do it, so that's a bit strange for me. I think they should have made it that they just do it on command for like 3 times, and then if you upgrade them, they do it more often. So if you keep dying in like hard mode or something like that, they could do it up to like 5 or 6 times or something like that. I don't know. It would have been more interesting. Going back to the handcrafted, they said that story and characters that you meet are supposed to feel handcrafted. They're not supposed to feel artificial or anything. So instead of like the stuff like in Inquisition, it's supposed to not feel artificial. It's supposed to feel like everyone matters. And I know they even mentioned that Inquisition had those problems, that it didn't feel like they were in a threatened world, you know? And there was like, hey, I'm dying, but can you bring this ring to somebody in Orlais? You're like, okay, I don't know why I have to do this, but sure. And then you, like, it's weird. So I think that if they do make them handcrafted, and like I said in my other video, that it's not just me basically, hey, here's a bunch of items and then I have to keep going and doing that, and instead it's just like, hey, I found this item earlier and I think this is yours, and then they're like, thank you, here's some money, and then that's it. And it was just like a one simple quest, kind of something like you just basically pick up by accident, and then you can do it while you're in another town that you went to. That would be interesting, because then you don't have to keep coming back and forth places or doing anything like that, backtracking. You just did something in another town, and then it turns out someone else needed that item that was in that other time. It would be fine. It's like doing the alienage quests and stuff like that. You get stuff off of like one of the boards or something like that, and then someone in the alien, they need something from the alienage. They're going to the alienage. You already know what item it is, so go finish the quest. There you go. There is no mounts in the game, and dual wielding is back for rogues only. It makes a lot of sense to do that, because rogues are dual wielders anyway, so it's interesting. I don't know if you're gonna be able to be a two-hander and a sword and shield master. Like, that would be interesting if they do that, like in Dragon Age Origins, but we have to see. The power and influence system is not in this game, which is great. You can run through the game without any restrictions for the story. So if you don't want to do side quests and stuff like that, I guess you can go ahead and go do it. The person that was left in the Fade will not be brought up in this game, which I was mentioning earlier. I didn't really care for that choice because I don't do any different choices, so he's in there and I don't care. What's it called? But you know, I don't know why they did this, because now it kind of acts out the whole point of having Alistair come back, because they were saying that they're gonna bring back people who are gonna be in the game. So unless you have King Alistair, that's the only way I can see that they're bringing Alistair back, because now that you chose that you can leave him in the Fade, is he gonna be able to be brought back, or are you going to have someone like Enora be on there coming back, because that's the choice that they're going to have to bring someone back, you know, that kind of thing. If they're bringing back people from the past Dragon Age games, and it's not someone from like Dragon Age 2 or something, it's from Dragon Age Origins, and it's like not the Era Shock or something like that, it is someone like Alistair or, you know, Morgan or something like that, that means that certain choices have to be chosen. We already know that if you stab Morgan, she lives and stuff like that, so she's an Inquisition. But when it comes to Alistair, you have to figure out, is he king or not king? Even though I'm pretty sure in the Bioware canon, he's canon to be king, but other people's playthroughs are different because they wanted to stay with him, so they don't have King Alistair. So that's going to be a very strange thing, and I guess that ends up axing out the question of Alistair being in there, but that's going to be weird. Locations can change based on decisions that you make. I feel like this is gonna be, like I said, Skyhold and all that stuff. Like, I feel like this is going to change only slightly. So I feel like a lot of the stuff that's going on is going to be like slight changes of like Skyhold, things that you could do with your companions where it was only slight changes of stuff like that. I feel like this is gonna be light changes. The last name that you get is from the faction that you're from. I think that makes a lot of sense because they're not having origins. No microtransactions at all. We mentioned this before, but apparently they're not having anything. No battle passes, nothing at all. There is no microtransactions at all. I don't know if that means that they're going to have something like, you know, armor and stuff like that, like they had in the other games where if you pre-order, you get this armor. I don't know if that means at all. They didn't say completely no DLC. They just said no microtransactions. So I wonder if they're still gonna have like DLC, like if you do this, you get the dragon armor, like the blood dragon armor and stuff like that. Do you get this? Are they gonna do that? Like, are they? There is no setting to get rid of spiders for arachnophobia and stuff like that. And I think I'm going to mention this a little bit. I don't think that they should get rid of spiders for a setting because that doesn't make any sense. In the other games, there has always been spiders. So if you have been afraid of spiders since all of those games, I find it very strange that suddenly you want them to get rid of spiders in these games if you play through all of them and got rid of those spiders. I'm not trying to be rude or anything because I do have phobias and stuff like that related to weird things too. I don't like spiders at all. I won't even pick up one in a dustpan, okay? I don't like spiders. But when it comes to this game, they have had spiders in every game. Like, even it's a joke in the game series that they have spiders. To get rid of that, that means that they also have to probably get rid of lines. Like, someone could be like, I hate spiders. But now, if they got rid of the if they have arachnophobia setting, what are they going to say there? What is going to be there instead? That doesn't make any sense. And especially if they have a monster that's going to be like red lyrium or something like that, and that's why it has hands and can hold a cup. I don't know. Just to make jokes from the thing that they show with spiders with hands. Like, you can't get rid of that now. There's no way. Unless you're going to black bar it like freaking China and Winnie the Pooh. Unless you're gonna do something like that, that doesn't make any sense. I understand that people have fears. It's the same thing what happened with Horizon Forbidden West, where you had to dive in water, and people are like, I'm super afraid of diving in water. Is there a way to take it out? And they said, no, there's no way. Because there's a whole dungeon in the game where you have to go underwater to do it. So they can't take that entire thing out of the game. That's what I'm trying to say about this. I know it sounds like I'm getting a little heated, but I just feel like people add accessibility choices for something like that, but sometimes they don't even add accessibility choices for people who literally need it. Like, there are games that I played and there's no accessibility choices for even simple things like turning off motion blur for people who get motion sickness, lowering the lighting so you don't get flashing lights if you have epilepsy. Like, there are things that are more important than just being afraid of spiders. These things are not real, whereas lights and stuff like that and, you know, motion blur, those can physically hurt somebody. So those are accessibility choices I choose to focus on than just some spiders that's been in the franchise for years. Next up is that tavern songs are back. Tavern songs are back, and I like the tavern music from Dragon Age Inquisition. That was probably one of the best things from the soundtrack. I like the opening for Dragon Age Inquisition. That was one of my one of the best songs from the soundtrack. And then the tavern music, I really like those too. So I'm excited to hear the tavern music. Apparently they said that it was like a Mithrathis. There's a song called The Swan or something like that. Not exactly sure, but that's what it is. We're gonna jump into another little thing about the news, and then we're done. Alright, we're gonna quickly jump onto a tweet that's from Shinobi 602, who said a whole thing about the system, like the skill tree and classes and stuff like that. So the level cap for the character is level 50. Belara is a mage, confirmed. I was talking about that. I seen that on Twitter a while ago. Incredibly deep RPG progression. If I were to contrast Mass Effect versus Dragon Age, and for instance, I really view Mass Effect as a ARPG and big action minor RPG. We're almost in the reverse of that. So I'm guessing they're trying to say that this is a super RPG compared to Mass Effect, but I don't know, because I never really seen Mass Effect as an RPG except the first one, because the first one was totally an RPG. The skill tree is apparently enormous. It's going to be huge. It's going to remind people of like Final Fantasy X's Spear Grid, which I was mentioning this before. I was telling my family, like, if this Dragon Age is like the Final Fantasy X Spear Grid, that means that you can literally be a thaumaturgy in this game. But obviously they did not do that in this game, but they made it that it's really large, so you can basically fix up that you can be more of a, I guess, defense, or have more abilities, stuff like that, I'm guessing. So that's what they're trying to do. But I thought it was funny that they used the Final Fantasy X for this and I think that's awesome. Alright, warrior specializations are things like Reaper, which you can use lifesteal, which reminds me of Blade from the Midnight Suns game, where they had something like called lifesteal or something like that, and you can steal people's things by sucking their blood and stuff like that. I think that's interesting that they named it that. They have Slayer, where you can wield the largest weapons, and then you can be a champion, which is been from the other games, and this is more of a tank. So if you need somebody who's more tanky, that would be the perfect one for you, which is interesting. They talk about the origins again, and that you can get bonuses from like dialogue, and you can get extra damage for cultists, like fighting cultists and stuff like that. You can do extra damage to like Venatorians, which is interesting. Skills are unique to per class. So every class nets a skill, and other activities can also get you points for those skills. Wondering if it's kind of like Yakuza, where you get points for doing stuff like side quests and stuff like that, and then you can level up. That would be interesting. You can reach a specialization by the mid-game, so they can branch out a bit, which is interesting. Each character has 5 core abilities that with their own skill tree. You can lower cooldowns and add additional effects and stuff like that for your customization. You have elemental mechanics that are very important, like ice, fire, electricity, etc. Each companion also has their own unique abilities, like Neve having ice powers, for example. And with that, we have a decently long video, but that's about it that they have announced so far. I don't think they released any kind of art or anything so far. The Game Informer is about to come out on the 18th. Unfortunately, I cannot get my hands on one because I have to pay for the subscription, and I'm like, yeah, I can't do that right now. But it's gonna be some more information probably coming from that. So if you get a Game Informer, you're probably gonna get some really interesting news probably from that. They're probably gonna detail some stuff in there, so be ready for that. If there's any reports on there, I'll make a video on there, but for now I do not have any information on that and probably won't. But if there's anyone who tweets about it or something like that, have a long list, I'll probably go through it and give you a decent summary of it, so you won't miss out on any news that's going on with that. But for now, that is it. That is all the news that we have from the Q&A and some of the other information that was released. So the next time I will see you will be if they release any more information about it, or just some new video about Dragon Age or some other game that I'm playing at the moment. But that's all for today, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.
Whoa, 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 I'm just a man missing you.